Hi everyone, it's Leigh with Arts Council OKC Creative Aging Program, and today we're going to do white charcoal trees. So the materials you're going to need are white and black charcoal pencils, black construction paper, and erasers, and then of course if you need a pencil sharpeners are always good. I like always having that on hand. So, okay, anyway, let's get started. Okay, so today we're going to do, like I said, we're going to do white charcoal trees, and I'm going to do a couple of different styles. So just to kind of give you options. And these are aspen trees, and you can choose whatever tree you want, but I wanted to show you kind of like different styles, and these are a little bit stylized, and that's fine. You can also look and see what other kinds of trees, images of trees are out there. So as you can see, I have both of these started, but I wanted to kind of leave some of it blank so we can kind of do it together, or you can just see where I'm coming from. So on this one, and as with all of them, just get in your basic outline, and I can, scoot this over. So, and then this one has, and you're going to pay attention to your directional lines and everything. And then, it'll be about having, different values. Have your like really dark blacks and your midtones and your highlights. And as you know, even though this is simple, because you can do this, it just takes time because it's a lot of buildup, a lot of layers of pencil. So, and just remember that. And then if you need to take a break to give your hand a rest, feel free. So what we're going to do is, on this one, I'm going to kind of, and then also another thing too, I have a tendency to drag my hand across, so I always take another piece of paper and just kind of put my hand on the edge just so I don't accidentally smear it. So we're just going to come in here, and I have this started, and the more you keep adding to it, the more your image will come together. So, okay. And what I did is I looked at a black and white photograph just to kind of get a style of tree. Now, the great thing about trees is, they're not perfect. They have all these great, little bits that are a little funky, and so that you can do whatever you want with this tree, and it doesn't have to look like a picture, and definitely doesn't have to look like mine. Just kind of have fun with it because they're a little wobbly and funky, which I like, of course. So now on the directional lines, like on this one, I'm going to kind of bring these up here. And then in trees, have smooth areas and funky bark areas, and each type of tree is different too. But I want to kind of help myself by coming in here and filling in a little bit of where this big part of the tree is. And I'm just really doing it lightly, and I'm holding the pencil differently too, so just kind of give yourself permission to do it a little differently. And it's, let the pencil help you out. And so I'm going to get this in here, and then I'm going to do some other, and bark really is really pretty easy. It looks really, involved, but it's not so. And if you just kind of, I'm just going to kind of come in here and do some lines. And there really is no rhyme or reason to this, and I'm just kind of making it up as I go, which, see, and that kind of gives me a place to start. This up here is a little bit smoother, and so I'm just going to kind of smooth this down a little bit just by using a circular motion with the pencil. And then I'll just kind of, and I want to, and remember when the areas that you want to leave are darker, leave more paper showing. And granted, we're going to use a black charcoal pencil too to go over some of this, but just kind of help yourself out by leaving leaving some empty space so that you can kind of know what you're going for. Sometimes when you get a whole lot of lines on here, it's hard to see. So, and then also, you know, use your eraser as a tool too. If you accidentally kind of got a little heavy with the white and you know there's going to be some black added back in, just kind of come in and take some of that off. But then also be aware that lightly brush your finger across because you'll smear it. So, and I'm just going to kind of go in here and add some lines. So, and it's okay if you, and you can totally make up your own tree. You don't have to look at anything. And then after a while, just kind of let the image, you know, let the tree tell you where it wants to go. And like I said, trees' bark is, you know, weird and funky, which I love. So like I've said before, so just kind of have fun with it. And like I said, you're going to be doing this. It's going to take some time. There was a strange knot down here, but, or a lump on the tree, but you know, and you can also change your mind and do something different with it too. So. And then, as always, sometimes pick up your image and step away from, you know, or at least hold it away from you so you can kind of see a different perspective, because when you're up over it and close to it all the time, you sometimes can't see how it's actually really coming together. So, you know, I have to do that too, so. Okay. And then too, just remember, think about the direction or the shape of your tree, how it's curving, so that all your underneath pencil work is helping give you the illusion that it's three-dimensional. And sometimes, you know, you can go in more than one direction just to kind of give it a little extra. And then you can always kind of smooth things out or blend them a little bit with your fingers if you want, but just remember that it will smear. Which, that's fine if you want to blend it, but don't just go all the way across, because that will not make you happy, I'm sure, if you didn't want to blend all of that stuff together. So, all right. Now, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth in this just to kind of show you kind of how I'll do stuff sometimes. And so I'm just going to run this. And sometimes the pencils do squeak, so. And let's see. And then, you know, if you know you have a dark area, sometimes I'll even do a little bit of a layer of black charcoal just on the paper, because the combination of both the black and white pencil on the black paper really gives it a lot more depth visually, strangely enough. As I'm sure I've told you, I'm sure I've said that before, so. Yeah. You just keep going. And then sometimes you might accidentally fill in a spot that you didn't mean to. Don't worry about it. Just keep going, and then you can always come back and adjust it later, or you can take your eraser and just, but don't worry about it immediately, because you might go, oh, I actually kind of like how that looks, and then you just kind of keep going. So I'm gonna bounce over here. Okay. But you're getting the kind of the idea. So we're just continuing on, and some of it looks a little funny, you know, looks a little squirrely, and that's okay, because these look strange for quite a while. And that's all right, because the more layer, you just have to keep adding layers and layers of pencil. All right, so. And the thing that too, you know, I found is sometimes you definitely helpful to take a step back, because sometimes when you're doing it, then you have a hard time, you know, seeing it. So I'll just kind of, you know, because you want to keep track of what you're doing, because the tree, the bark kind of blends in, and you're like, oh, what was I doing? Or, you know. But the great thing, like I said, about trees is, you know, anything goes basically. And this is just, you know, to get you more comfortable with using charcoal pencils and on black paper, because it's the reverse. It kind of is tricky for your brain to wrap around it initially. So anyway, and just take your time. You know, you don't need to rush through this, and just, this is a slow buildup of pencil, so this should take you a while. And then just enjoy yourself, because this is supposed to be fun. And it can kind of be zen-like, you know, because, you know, especially when you're not in a rush, then you can kind of enjoy yourself and just kind of fill it in and try different things. And I have some grass in here just to kind of give it some grounding, and then I'll still even use some black charcoal pencil in there to kind of bring it out. And then at the end, you can erase if you have accidentally tracked some of it, but I wouldn't really worry about it in the process of, you know, doing your trees, just because that's kind of distracting. And so just keep going, and then just do it at the very end, so you're not doing it multiple times. Okay. Then you can kind of come in and even go over some of what you've done if you want it to be like a little more shaded. So say if it's in shadow. But like I said, you don't need to do that. That just kind of gives you some options of how you want it to look. And, you know, the black pencil always is helpful to tone down the white, you know, because that'll soften it a little bit. And same thing with the white on the black. You know, you can cover up if you need to go, oh, I really needed something in here to be whiter, then bring your white back in. And then stuff that you want to have a really nice white highlight, then don't blend or don't go over with the black, and you just want a nice sharp line. Okay. Okay. And you know, trees' roots are really pretty cool. So some of them are just right on top of the ground, and so I got these started down here, but you know, I'm just gonna keep adding to it. And you don't have to add grass or anything. You can just focus on the tree because sometimes it gets a little confusing. You know, because I was originally going to come in and do like little pieces of like little leaves that were on the ground to kind of add some more interest of, you know, but it might, you don't want it to get too busy when you're doing this. You can just kind of keep it simple. Okay. And then you're going to see things and you're going to kind of bounce around and try adding different things. And trees are great to experiment with. So just kind of see what kind of bark you like. This is a good one, the long and easy. And this other one is nice too because it's a different, you know, different movement of your pencils. So anyway, I'm gonna move this stuff around here. Excuse me. And then, so I'm just gonna set this one over here because I'll still continue to work on it, but you all get the idea of this right now. So I'm gonna set it over here because trees are great, but this, like I said, you know, doing with the charcoal pencil, it just takes some time. And so on this one, this is like an aspen tree, and what I'm gonna do is actually kind of turn it this way because you can turn your paper however you need it. And I always like to have a few pieces underneath so that I can have it be, you know, a little bit of a cushion. So what I did initially, I just went, and now you don't have to, I'm getting my pencil, paper so I don't drag my arm on. Oops, bumped the camera, sorry. So just remember, use your directional lines. And now you could do it individually like this, but it would take a little bit longer. So I just kind of go back and forth like this, just to kind of get the shapes in there. It's a lot easier on your hand. Okay, and then I'm just gonna lightly do this here. Okay, and so then what I'm gonna do is just keep going. And so this is a really easy process. It just takes some time, but you guys can do this. Totally doable. And kind of doing this backwards. So I'm gonna flip it around so I'm not dragging my hand through the thing the whole time. So, all right. So you can see I'm just doing this. Because what I want to do is leave a little bit darker in the center, and then so that way I'm not covering over it, but I'm still staying with the lines, you know, with the angle of it. And like I said, this does not have to be perfect. Okay, and then I'm going to do this on the other side too. So I'm just kind of staying in line with these other ones, and so because what we're doing is we're building up the shapes so that we're starting with it lighter, you know, meaning it's not as bright white, with a lighter hand. Okay. All right. And so you can kind of see how it's starting to fill in, but you know, this is a little more stylized tree, and then we're going to do this again. And so now what you can do is add a little bit heavier white, and I'm still moving in line with the lines, but I'm adding, by pressing a little bit harder with the pencil, I'm adding a little bit of highlight then on the edge. Because I want to have, you know, deep blacks, midtones, and then bright whites. But like I said, you're going to be doing this for a bit. So you just keep going. And then you're going to do the other side too. You know, and then you'll start going back in and adding some black. and that will bring it out as well. Okay, so you get the idea. So what I'm going to do is work on this just a minute, and then I will come back. Okay, you can see that I filled in some more stuff. So, and I, was doing these the same way I was doing the others, and that I just started by, doing the curved lines. Now it looks a little bit, messy because it's going to take, this takes time. It is, you can do this. It's just a lot of layers of pencil. You all know this. And then I keep doing this. I'm going to pull this up, put my hand on it because I'm smudging with the paper too. So we're just, and you can see I added in some leaves in here. So if it seems like it's a little bit too sharp, I went around the leaves with a black outline, then you can kind of come in and tone it down a little bit with the white. And then you might go, oh, that's a little too much, and then add some black in it. But I also, I followed along the white line with a black one that kind of gives it a little more dimension. But then this is a little more stylized, so you can do it, a little more realistically, or, so it's a little bit softer. And so on the other branches, I did the same thing. I was doing just kind of the little U shape, and I'll come back and do some, because this comes down onto the trunk here, and I'm gonna do some black in here. And then I'll just keep doing this. That's just a thing. You got to keep going over things, and it's just slow. Because then when you get in a hurry, that's when you hurt your hand because you're squeezing it really tight and you're trying to go really fast. And this is just a slow process. So just kind of relax into it. So you're going to keep adding pencil. And then you can just kind of do, and just keep going over it, and it starts coming together. And you can just see the difference between where you have some black lines on top of the white and not. And it just adds that extra layer of interest. And then, you can kind of come back and with some of your white. And make sure you go all the way off the edge. Just, if your tree stump, this is your tree trunk is going off, then just keep going. Yeah, don't stop short. Just going to flow all the way off because the charcoal will clean up easily. It's not going to hurt the table or anything. So, okay. And these kind of blend in. And you can also, when you're going to have some leaves here, you can leave some space around it. But, as far as the paper, but I know I wanted them kind of bright white, so they'll kind of come back out. Even though I haven't really finished doing the trunk itself, I just kind of wanted to see. And then, but this, since it does take time, just be, listen to your body, be aware of your hands. And if your hands are tired, let them relax a little bit, okay? This is not supposed to be painful. So, and you just can keep going. And I always like to have a few pencils sharpened so that you can, if one gets dull, then you can bounce back and grab another. So, and you certainly don't have to have your leaves bright white, but I kind of liked this as one of the bright whites, and to go along with the black. Now this one, I'm not doing any kind of background, whereas the other one, I had some grass and whatever. But this, since the composition is that the trees are going out of the frame, I think it's perfectly fine. I just like to have them doing that. So without any kind of background, it's just black. So. Because this takes enough time as it is, so you don't want to feel like this is drudgery. So if you're going, oh my gosh, it's taking forever, then simplify it. Just do 2 trees. You don't have to do 3, or do 1 if you want it to be more involved. Or do a different style of trees. So just kind of just listen to yourself and don't do so much that it's going to make you regret, doing 15 trees. That's a bit much, especially for charcoal pencil, because it's a slow process. So, but just keep going. And then I'll kind of come in here and put a little sharp edge around these. And this way, you want to use a nice sharp pencil when you're doing any kind of a nice hard edge. So then just kind of brings them out. So, but you can see it's kind of, oops, sorry. But you see it's coming together. So just kind of keep going and then be sure to take a step back and look at it so that you can kind of see what's happening and things that you need to adjust or change or add to. So this one, I'm going to keep working on it. But this is all doable. You can totally do this. Just take your time and just keep going. Start coming together. Yep, and then make sure you just don't drag your hand across what you've just done. And just by adding like little short lines at the edge too adds visual interest. You just want to make sure that they're a little bit curved so you're still following along with the rest of them. Okay. And you can also come in here in the center if you want to have more of a dark stripe. Then you can do them, closer together. So it looks a little more like the other ones and just, okay, and then just keep going back and adding white. You can keep adding white on the edges to brighten up the edges if that's the way you want to keep doing it, because that's the way the other ones are. So if you want to be, keeping it consistent. So. And when I was doing the branches, like I said, I was just doing them, directionally as well. So one little leaf over here. So, ooh, look at that, my big hand. But that's okay. I'll just come back in here and, erase this. But, even when you have a piece of paper on there, just make sure you're not dragging it like I just did across there. So anyway, just take your time, start by drawing the outline of the trees, keep it really simple because it's totally doable, and just take your time. And if you're going to do the long pieces of bark, just kind of, it's long strokes, just easy. And, you don't have to think about it too much. This is not perfect. And just keep going and keep making your own, because if you look at it and you're trying to be super precise and doing exactly what this picture is or the other one is, you're gonna make yourself crazy. So don't do that. Just kind of do the lines up and down, back and forth. Okay, and these are other, really simple movements, simple application of pencil. They just got lots and lots of layers of it. So. All right, until next time, you guys take care of yourselves and have fun. See you then.